your host, Syed. Today's guest, Kristen Boulay. Kristen, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm all right. Just hanging in there, right? The reason why we have you on the show today, right? I mean, it's not really a show. It's more of a podcast. I feel like I have to say show because I'm holding a microphone.
It's fair.
Right? Like, it's like a broke version of Sports Center. Don't talk about nothing important.
It's a very broke version of that.
Right? Have you guys been watching the NBA Finals? We'll talk about that later. Anyway, right? As I said in my last podcast, we talked about Olympic lifting, right? Even though most of our athletes are powerlifters. But we have strongman shows coming up.
Yes.
We have Valley of Valkyries, which is when, Ryan?
November.
November.
You can check the exact date.
Yeah. November 17th.
That's the one.
And we also have a novice show coming up, USS novice show.
September 8th.
September 8th.
So sign up for those if you want to do strongman, right? But we thought we'd have a world-class strong person here to tell us a little bit more about strongman because I'm an idiot and I don't know much. And I would like to know more. So, I mean, I always start with any guest, sort of how you got into strongman, what decisions you made to lead there.
Okay. So how I got started kind of goes back to my current fiance. Back when I was in college, I was a cheerleader. I actually cheered most of my life, and I was a tumbler, and I was just straight leg strength. That was it. I had no technique. I just muscled my way around for everything. And Dave spent a long time trying to convince me to go to the gym. He said, if you come to the gym, if you lift with me, it'll make you stronger, you'll be a better tumbler. Really trying to work all his angles. I think it took him about a year to talk me into going to the gym with him. I didn't really want to go. I was out of my element. I wasn't quite comfortable. And I think it's just the whole female stigma in the gym. It always hits you when you're new. But I started going with him, and he just put me on a basic kind of 5x5 starting strength program. But the gym we went to had some strongman implements in it, which looked like a lot of fun. And he slowly, just as I built up a little bit of strength, he had me start just playing around with some of the implements. And Lightning Fitness had a couples show in December of 2012. And he said, you know what? Why don't we give it a shot? You seem to like it. And I did that show, and I was sold. I had a blast. I loved every second of it. And I've been doing strongman ever since.
And Dave quit.
And Dave quit. He hated it. He still powerlifts though, but strongman's not his thing.
But you powerlift too.
A little bit. A little bit.
Right. And I'm assuming your preference is towards strongman because
100%.
you are, better at that. But
yes, yeah.
on a training basis, how much of it is actually strongman oriented versus powerlifting building strength oriented?
So a lot of my training, it's just built on the powerlifting basics. So a lot of just straight bar deadlift, a lot of squats. The farther out from a show I am, the more we'll add in back squats. But as I get closer to a show, we'll switch out the back squats because they're not as functional for me. So we'll switch over to a safety squat bar, front squat, things like that. But through my hypertrophy phases and my strength phases, it's mostly all just barbell lifting. I'll do an event Saturday. It's not until I peak, which is about 4 weeks out from a competition, that we add in events pretty much every training cycle. Other than that, I base everything pretty much on barbell lifting.
And I'm assuming you would do the same in terms of like...
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole thing with the strongman is activities, like, is everything's, any of the pressing events, you're still pressing, so building a bench press, it's not going to have a huge carryover to like a log, but it's still going to build your pressing musculature, which will help with the log. Log can't help with the bench press, vice versa. Any of the moving events, having stronger legs, so like squatting is like always important. And then in strongman, you're picking stuff up and running with it is two of the really big things. So deadlifting is obviously going to be important, and then to switch over to an axle as you get closer to a show, or like
very height,
deadlift, like that's fine. But to do a straight bar from the floor, for the most part, that's going to be fine. It's going to work on the triple extent, at least part of the triple extension for stones, for loading kegs, stuff like that. So I think like the power lifts are the basis of the strength training part of strongman. Where for powerlifting, it's actually the sport.
Yeah.
That's the focus. It's the basis of like what you're building for strongman, and then you still have to do the events. Like you can't just maybe at some local novice shows you can show up having never done the events and still like get away with it. But
Yeah.
at Kristen's level, like she can't like not do log for months and then show up to a log press event and do well.
Especially
Right.
not the log. That is
Right.
not my. That is the one event I could never even fathom
It's
that.
a good one right off the bat. but the same thing, like or like you.
But anything,
like,
you're right.
Like you were doing the card deadlift variation today, where if you deadlift from the floor for months and months and months, yes, it will help you get stronger. But when you go to the card deadlift, it's still different.
I would get bested at nationals in a heartbeat if I just trained
If you
straight bar.
haven't trained it, you're going to be in trouble. So
Yes.
the basis is there for strength, and it's easier to do the powerlifting movements on a daily basis. Like how long
Much
does it take you
easier.
to set up the car deadlift today?
The car deadlift alone takes me takedown
Yeah.
and set up like 20 minutes each way minimum.
Where the
Just
straight bar deadlift, they're already set up at 135. You can get
Yeah.
right to it. And that's why like the only difference I think like between Dave and I would talk about is like I don't usually like the Strongman Saturdays as much because like you're here for 5 hours doing 3 or 4 events. I know as you get closer to a meet, it makes more sense because that's what a meet is. But months out, I like to do like if it's a squat day, we'll squat and then we'll do like maybe a carry or a load or something like that, so you can mix it in a little bit. Where I don't think you guys do that much.
no, we generally do the Strongman Saturdays.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way kind of our schedule is set up. It's just easier to get it all done on a Saturday when we have less going on than trying to do it at like 5 o'clock on a weeknight, set up a carry event. It's just
it keeps the
easier.
week easier.
Yeah.
So. But no, like they help each other.
So would you ever incorporate a strongman event as part of a sort of training cycle for powerlifting?
We do a little bit, not a lot.
Carries?
I mean, because if you're thinking of it that way, like strongman activities for powerlifting are assistance movements and vice versa. So like some of our people like will do log press because it's like if I want someone to do a shoulder press activity, you can do dumbbells, we do barbell, but like the log's more fun for a lot of people. We'll do farmer walks. I love farmer walks. Not as much like the yoke. We don't do a whole lot of loading because the loading doesn't have, I don't think, as big of a carryover.
And it's a whole body drainer too.
Yeah.
It just kills you. You're done.
But we'll use different heights for deadlifts. Like we do block pulls. So like, a block pull is basically an elevated deadlift for strongman. We'll do some trap bar stuff, which carries over more to like what a normal card deadlift would feel like. The front card deadlift is very different.
Awful.
But we'll do some of those events. Like they do have a carryover. As we get closer to a meet, though, we like no way. Like I wouldn't have you worried about what your log press is 5 weeks out from a powerlifting meet. But
Yeah.
12 weeks out, you want to have some fun? Go ahead.
You've done both powerlifting and strongman competitions. Being someone who's done both, so how are not the training up to it, but sort of the mental preparation for it different?
So the mental prep for them is a lot different than I expected it to be. So in Strongman, you're essentially given events. They say, these are the events you're doing, these are the weights you're lifting, and that's that. You can either do them or you can't. And then your competition is based on who's better at those events. So you're kind of mentally prepping a different way, whereas powerlifting, you have the choice. So it's, I know this is what I'm capable of. Could I push it a little bit more to beat this person's total? But you're essentially choosing the numbers. So I think through powerlifting training, you have to spend a lot more time building up your mentality and figuring out what you're capable of and what you can push. Whereas strongman, you're prepping to do what they tell you almost. And so trying to battle those two as I switched back and forth a little bit was interesting to say the least. I put a lot of pressure on myself when I went into powerlifting of I need to kind of prove something and I need to show that I'm strong, and it was silly, but I put a lot more pressure on myself because I expected more of myself, and I was like, I should be able to do more, whereas in strongman, it's, okay, I'm training the weights they're telling me to do, I'm just tracking reps, so it's choosing what you do versus being told what you're doing is just kind of sets you up differently.
How does that play into sort of strategy when you're at the event? Because I know with at least powerlifting, we talk about it all the time where, picking numbers is sort of how we strategically get places, but in different strongman events, you're not only doing it for, we do it 1 rep max, you're doing it for multiple reps or
Yes.
times.
So strategy is big in strongman if you're kind of in the right spot and you know how to play the game. One of the nice things about strongman is you can suck at a lift and somebody can beat you by 50 pounds, but if you came in second to that person, they're not ahead of you by 50 points, they're only ahead of you by a point. So there's a lot more room for that strategy game in there. So if I'm going into a pressing event and I know I'm not a great presser, and somebody just blows me out of the water and they can get 10 reps on this in 60 seconds, and I know I'm gonna struggle for 5. If 5 is good enough for second place, I'm not gonna fight for that 10 or 11. I'm gonna play it safe and say, I'll take the 1 point loss and I'll strategize. And you have to do that with all of your events. So it's a 5-event day, and they just kill your whole body. You're moving, you're pressing, you're deadlifting, you're loading. So you have to think about what events are you going to exert yourself on. So some shows have a max event. Are you going balls to the wall to max out and do whatever you can? Or are you going to conserve your energy because you have 3 events left and you need to save yourself? Because if you max out on your deadlift and you give it everything you have, your next events are going to kind of go downhill. So you have to kind of figure out what are your strengths, what can you afford to maybe be a little more conservative on, and then what do you have to go all out on. So you really need to know yourself and kind of have a little bit of an idea of what your competition's doing as well. So just paying a little bit of attention to the scores.
Well, that's what I was just going to say with that is, like, I think one of the tougher things with Strongman, though, is that if you're first in the event,
that's where your order comes in, yep.
And you don't know what the people are capable of around you, then you kind of have to go all out. Because if you go half-assed and, like, maybe put up, like, I'll be good with 6.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden 5 people go after you and put up 15.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden you're down 5 or 6 points because you didn't know. Now at your level, like, most of the women you're competing against, you know them, you've competed against them before. So you have a pretty good idea, like, okay, this woman's going to do probably 6, 7 reps. This one's going to do 10.
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat her. Let me take a shot at her. But if you're first in a show where you don't know a lot of people,
yes,
it
sucks.
You kind of have to go all out. And I actually, we did one of Murph's shows a couple years ago in Boston, and Eric Golubeck, Eric came in first on the deadlift. He got like 17 reps in the car deadlift. The problem is he went first.
Yep.
He got like 17. The next best guy got like 3.
Yeah.
And he was trashed. And Eric ended up coming in second overall. The guy that beat him came in second to him on the car deadlift. He still was only 1 point behind, but had the energy. And when they got to they were doing stone to shoulder. The guy beat him on stone to shoulder, and the guy got the win.
Yep.
And like, when he had to, because like when he went up to the car deadlift, he didn't know what people were gonna do.
Right.
If he pulled 4 and stopped, and like, you know, if he came in 10th place, he would have lost immediately. So I mean, at least got second place, but
yeah,
it's like.
Yep, and that actually happened a little over a year ago in December. I did the team show at Lightning with Kate Dunn, and we were up first. We did a tandem log. Yeah, hey, Kate. We did the tandem log, and we were first for it. Now, we'd gone to Lightning to train it a couple times, so we knew we were good for reps. Like, we knew we could do somewhere between 3 and 5, maybe 6 if we were feeling it. But we went first, and just like trying to work together on the log was a pain. We ended up getting 5 reps. The other women zeroed it, so we could have done 1 and won it and saved all of that energy in the fight, because we failed a couple times and we were kind of uneven and wonky, and it was a waste of energy because we went first and we could have done 1 and been fine. But that's kind of the nature of strongman.
Right. And that's the big deal, like I said, because like in powerlifting, your competition's numbers are on the board in front of you. I can look and see, oh, they're doing this, this, and this, and I can generally take an idea. If they're opening here, they're probably going to end around here. In strongman, like if they're posting stuff, maybe they have an idea, or if you like say if you competed with them before, but
yeah,
it's
even when they
really
post though, and like you can know, okay, this person hit 10 reps in training. However, so in powerlifting, like if you're competing in federation, like USIPL, you're using the same equipment, the same setup every time.
Right.
Strongman. So I'm training this weird car deadlift setup over here that's gonna really feel nothing like the actual car deadlift. Or if I'm training log and I'm using a certain kind of log, the log I'm using in competition is gonna be different. And I've gone to shows where girls were hitting the weight on the logs and they ended up zeroing it at the show because the equipment was just the tiniest bit different. Their hand placement was a little bit different. The torque on it was a little bit different, and they zeroed it, even though they should have been able to hit several reps. So the equipment changed at that point too. So it's like, okay, I know they're gonna beat me on that event, and then they end up having some little technical malfunction and they zero just because it's a different piece of equipment they've been training with. Because whatever the promoter has is what you're using, and there's no standardization in what you're using at all. So that kind of throws a wrench in it too.
And not to get too far off topic, but that kind of goes like what Zach Allman's been talking about lately.
Yep.
one of Zach's biggest complaints is that like when it comes to strongman stuff, a lot of people aren't buying from companies. They're trying to make their own stuff. So now their log is different than this log, is different than this log. Or when they do buy, they're buying from 50 different companies. So none of these companies are doing that well because like there's so much out there. And like I said, I mean, I've got equipment here from like 7 different companies because like I've got something from this company that we liked a lot, and then we hear, oh, this, you know, their log isn't that good, don't get their log, so we get a log from someone else, and no one's getting supported. And I think that at the smaller level, you know, staying away from World's Strongest Man and everything, like, it makes it tougher to build the sport because there's not that level of support where, like you said, USAPL,
Right.
You've got a couple lines of equipment that, you know, you're going to use an Eleco rack or an ER rack or a Touch Strengthens rack or a Rogue bar, an Eleco bar, or a Tytex bar. Like, you're getting everyone's buying the same few things. And it's
Right.
Like I said, just look at our equipment. We've got equipment from like 7 places. Lightning's got
So
10
many
times that
different.
amount.
So that comes from the top, though, too.
Right.
So, like, the biggest federation right now, Strongman Corporation, when you go to nationals, amateur nationals, or worlds, the equipment provider is different every 2 to 3 years. So it's, you start with one piece, so people start buying that, and it switches, so you start buying that. So there's no consistency from the top.
Right.
So it's almost pointless to worry about consistency down here because it's what you're using at the high level is going to change anyways. And then you have at Lightning where whatever they're using at the next big show, they're going to buy that, so
Right.
they have that, and that's just kind of the cycle that we keep going through.
Because, like you said, like Lightning's
Which is beneficial, but
Lightning's more of a strongman gym than we are.
Yep.
And Matt being a pro strongman, so like when
So he knows what he needs.
so he's
Yeah.
like, oh, we need this lock, and he goes out and gets it, or we need this yoke, and he goes out, and I'm like, now we got that yoke. Like, it's a yoke. Is it the yoke you're using? No, but
It's functional.
that's part of what strongman is right now too. Of
Yeah.
Like when you show up on meet day, like it might not be a perfect situation, and you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
In powerlifting, you know you're getting a 7-foot bar, 29 millimeter. Like the weights are going to be what they are.
Yep.
It's strongman.
I don't ever anticipate
You
that in
can,
Strongman
like,
ever.
On strongman, it even says like weights may change. Events
That has to be on an entry form. That
Yeah.
your events are subject to change, 100%.
We went to an event years ago at Lightning, and they were supposed to do something outdoors. I forget what it was, and the weather was bad. Matt's like, we're not doing that. We're going inside.
Yep.
And when we went inside, the event change was to like a prowler push and pull. And my friend Carl that was competing was like, got it. Because the outdoor event was something we had never tried. The indoor event with the prowler, we did prowler all the time. And he ended up winning the
Perfect.
prowler event. That outdoor, some kind of a medley, probably would have came in last. Because we had never done any of it.
Right.
So, like, that would never happen in power. You're not going to show up in power and be like, hey, I'm doing some military press today. It's just not a thing. But in strongman, like, you have to be ready for, like, they can even tell you, hey, we're going to be using, you know, the pit bull log, and then you get there and be like, nah, you can use a different one. Or, like we were talking about with the women's show that we're doing that has the car deadlift, how many times is instead like car deadlift, and then you get there and the men do a car deadlift.
And the women do the tire.
And the women do a tire. Because, you know, the car's harder.
Yep.
We're doing a car.
We are doing a car. That's happening. It's not negotiable.
Now, are there like certain categories of events that must be at every show, or is it sort of like
No.
these are okay?
In my mind, yes. But no.
So, well, there is a general setup that most shows are going to follow. So most shows are going to be 5 events in one day. As you get to bigger shows and longer shows, they might be 6 or 7 events over a few days or a couple days, whatever they want to do. But generally, a one-day event is going to be 5 events, and there's almost always a pressing event. There's some kind of carry event. There's usually another kind of moving event in there. So you might have like a farmer's carry and then some kind of like keg carry medley or a yoke. There's generally always a deadlift event, and then there's always a load event. That could be a keg load, a stone load. But I know Derek Poundstone did a few years ago, which is a medley massacre. The whole thing was just moving medleys. I think there was a press medley in there. There was some kind of deadlift medley, a moving medley, but it was just like straight medleys. It wasn't your normal setup. But generally, you have a press, a move, a deadlift, and a load. Usually there's 2 different types of carries in there. That's not required, just usually how it goes, because it kind of tests everything.
As someone planning a strongman event, what kind of events do you think must be in the show?
Well, first off, we're planning events because, like, I've been talking about it for years, and Kristen actually was like, let's do this. So we're doing it. So now we're doing it. And basically what you just said, to me, like, you have to deadlift something. I don't care what it is, but you have to deadlift something.
Preferably a car.
Car's great. You have to press something overhead.
Yep.
You have to move something, and you have to load something.
Yeah.
Those are my goal is to not run a show without those things. Now, the cool thing with Strongman is like that gives you a ton of options. You can straight bar deadlift, you can trap bar deadlift, you can axle deadlift, you can do different heights, you can do a medley. The press can be circus dumbbell, axle, log, a medley.
All of them.
There's so many options. And then we were actually talking before, like I was talking to Kate, who also just Strongman, like I kind of want to get in the habit if this goes well with the shows, I want to throw out 5th event, mystery event.
I think mystery events are really cool. They did it at the Arnold the last few years, and those were a lot of fun.
So you know your 4 events, and then we're gonna do a 5th event. We have no idea what we're gonna do. Like we're gonna and on game day, like.
Does it have to be a lifting event? Can it be a like baking contest?
Yes. Best brownies.
Probably be lifting.
Like if the weather's great, you go out and maybe do a car deadlift outside, or you do a truck pull.
Yep.
Or a frame hold that you did at World's Strongest Woman. Like,
oh God, yeah.
It's a terrible event, but like, who can hold it? Because like grip strength is such a huge thing in strongman.
Well, that one wasn't even grip strength. That was pure just grit of your upper back. Well, because we had to be strapped in for it. So it wasn't our grip. It was how long can your upper back hold out? And it was just so heavy. I don't think it lasted more than 12 seconds.
Yeah.
But they didn't even stopwatch it. They just said whoever drops first loses. There wasn't a stopwatch, so I don't even know.
And like I said, they could have been lighter and like hold it for a minute.
And if it were lighter, it would have been. It would have been awful.
There's some really interesting, cool events that you can do that, like, you kind of spring them out. Kate actually mentioned about doing a complete mystery day. Just
really cool.
We're doing a strongman show. Show up. And I said, like, that's the fun of strongman. Of like, you can't. I'm not trying to put powerlifting down, but like, if you're a great deadlifter, you can make up a lot of space after not squatting or benching well, and kind of make up for it. In strongman, if you can only deadlift. If you're a great deadlifter, but your other events, you're going to lose. You might win that one event, and then you get blasted in the other ones, and you lose.
Yeah.
So you have to be well-rounded at so many different things.
Yep, that's my favorite thing about
strongman. And there's a
basis,
base, like we said before, there's a base of it, like, you need to be able to press stuff. So if your pressing is strong, you're probably going to be a decent log presser, decent axle presser, but, like, you have to be a strong presser, period. And then you can learn the events. Or if you're a great deadlifter, the different heights, you'll make it work. Or the car deadlift, you'll make it work. Or trap or whatever, or axle, like, you'll figure it out. But you just have to be strong in everything.
Yeah, you need to be consistently, depending on how big the show is, you need to be somewhere in like the top 5, I generally say, for every event. If you can finish in the top 5, you're generally going to podium. So I know when I just competed at Worlds, I had an awful yoke run, and that knocked me back. The only thing that brought me back was the car deadlift. But my yoke run was so poor, I almost killed any podium shot because it was just abysmal compared to everybody else. But when you're consistently like that top 5, you don't have to win an event to win a show, to win a strongman show. You don't have to win any events. All you have to do is be in that top 5 every time, and you can sit on the podium just because you're consistently really good. Maybe not the best, but really good at all of the events. And that's what gets you the podium in strongman.
So I love that whole point system. It's like as long as you are getting enough points to be ahead of most people, you'll probably do well.
Yeah, so it's you get the points. So whoever wins the event gets. So if there's 10 competitors, the winner gets 10 points. Second place gets 9 points. Ty is throwing a little wrench into that, but they have a system for that too. But yeah, so it doesn't matter how much somebody beats you by. It just matters who came in first and second, and then it's just 10 and 9 points. It's not like powerlifting where you have Jen Thompson who's going to outbench you by 100 pounds. Now she's out-totaling you by 100 pounds. In strongman, she's out-totaling you by a point. That's it. So you can't just be, not that Jen Thompson's only dominant in one lift, but like somebody can't be dominant in just one thing. They have to be consistent in everything.
That's been like my argument. I always talk to people about powerlifting is, would you rather be good at one lift, so you have that freaky lift that like can keep you in any meet, or do you want to be across the board good? I always say I'd rather be across the board good, so we're never out of the meet. You don't want, because if you're so far behind, maybe that one lift is not going to carry you on that day. So I'd rather be more well-rounded. And I think of someone like a USA powerlifting, like you got like someone like Bryce Lewis, who Bryce has won a couple of our national championships. I don't think he's been the top guy in any of it. I think he was the best deadlifter in that class one year, but like I think last year Eli outpulled him. Garrett outsquatted him. Bryce might have been the top bencher.
Nick Judas.
Who?
Judas, right? Nick.
Oh yeah, Nick Judas. Like he was actually. So Bryce wasn't the top guy in any of the events, but he won nationals.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think if you're more across the board, that's better, and that's again the same thing as Strongman. Like if you're a great presser, yeah, you might win that one event, but you might get smashed in everything else. So that
Yeah.
doesn't help at the end of the day.
No.
Do you have a favorite event? Or one?
Of course I do.
Top 3.
Favorite, absolute favorite, is Atlas Stones. It'll forever be Atlas Stones, and it's never gonna stop. Right now, so I'm training circus dumbbell for nationals, and I used to hate it, but I'm switched around my technique, I figured it out, and that's probably my top 3 now. Outside of that, any sort of moving, loading medley, so I really like the sandbag and keg carries. Those would probably be my top 3, but Atlas Stones will forever be my love in Strongman. That's why we're doing a max zone.
Something we should have probably done at the beginning, but like, what are your accomplishments here? I mean,
In terms of shows?
Yeah, I know them, but say that anyway. Like,
So I am the lightweight Arnold World Champion for 2016. And then most recently I just came in second at World's Strongest Woman in December. And then there's a couple nationals placements in there too. But the Worlds I think are the big ones.
and
And I just, unofficially, it was at the gym, but I loaded a 300-pound Atlas Stone. And as a 132 last January, I loaded a 275 to what I think is an unofficial lightweight world record. And went for 300 this past March at a show, but just kind of attacked the bar with it instead of loading it. But it's going up. I've loaded it. I can do it. So, yeah. But 300-pound Atlas Stone is my best stone and best event ever.
I guess it's typically how far out do you find shows and announce events? And does that ever play into, like, shows you pick or, like, something you avoid or what?
It can. So the shows I pick now, it's because there's so much going on and there's so much change in the sport of strongman now, it's getting a little different. In terms of local shows, I usually pick combination based off of cool events and convenience. So if it's close, if I know the promoter, if I know they run a good show, so I'll pretty much always do Todd Georgie's New York shows when I'm competing in USS because he runs a solid show, it's a fair show, it's efficient, they're massive, and they're just good shows. They're well organized. But in terms of bigger shows, those are kind of set. If you want to compete in the big shows, like you're going to compete whatever nationals is. But for local shows, I'll pick based on events, who's running it. But right now we have the whole Strongman Corporation as a pro class, so that kind of...
That's the other thing, too, is when it comes to novice open, can you kind of explain what the difference is and what shows kind of...
Yeah, so for women at least, the pro class is newer. Up until the Arnolds in 2016, for women, there were 2 big shows that you could compete at. It was the Arnold World Championships, which was technically the Amateur World Championships. And then we always had, it was the official World's Strongest Woman, which has always been run as just an open weight class.
Okay.
So for like a lightweight or even a lower end middleweight, the biggest show you could really achieve was the Arnold World Championships. Okay. In 2016, the show that I won, the head of the organization decided to create a pro class for women. And basically all previous Arnold winners and the top 4 of that show became pros. And she started creating pro shows, like a little pro circuit for women. Unfortunately, I'm no longer in that. I couldn't go to the first pro show, so I'm not technically a pro anymore, but I was for a hot minute. But for a woman, you compete in an amateur show, so any local show, and same thing for men now too. So you compete in a local show, you qualify for nationals. At nationals, if you win, you get a pro card, and then it's like 20% of the class. It's like top 3, and then they take the next 20%, I think. Get an invite to the Arnolds, and then if you win the Arnolds, you get your pro card there as well. Okay. And then they have Platinum Plus shows, which is just their whole other thing. You can technically earn one there.
That's very lavish.
Yeah, so your biggest bets are win nationals or win the Arnold World Championships. That's how you get your pro card now.
Credit card, you get
Yeah, they give you a credit card.
Plus, here you go.
Pretty much, yeah. So.
So what are the events that, or I guess you can explain what the events we're going to do for the shows here, for both shows. So we have the Valkyries of the Valley and the Novice show.
Yeah, so we have, I have the chart actually open up here. So the Novice show is in September, and our goal was to make that extremely accessible for everybody. So it's anybody who's just been in the gym and lifted a little bit, it's accessible for you. So we're doing a log press for 60 seconds. We have a carry medley. It's a who's fell in a keg. We have a deadlift medley with an axle, a bar, and then a trap bar. A farmer's carry for 50 feet, and then just keg over bar. And again, the show itself is set up a little bit lighter than a normal show might be, just to kind of get a few more people from our gym involved. So we have a pretty small strongman community here so far, and I shamelessly plug it all the time. I actually just got somebody to lift stones today who was just looking for a hip workout, and I talked him over into the stone area. So I'm shamelessly plugging Strongman in the gym, converting all of Ryan's powerlifters. So we kept it accessible to anybody who's even just powerlifting, like if they've never touched an implement. It should be something, if they work with a little bit, they can get. And then our November show, it's an all-female show. It's called Valkyries of the Valley. Thanks, Syed, for that name. That one it's a heavy show. I want it to be a challenge for people. I'm sick of seeing local shows that qualify people for nationals, and it's lightweight women, you're going to press a 40-pound dumbbell. And then you go to nationals, they want you to press an 80-pound dumbbell, and they're zeroing because they qualified at a show that was way too light and they're out of their league.
Right.
So we have a press medley. It's a log and a dumbbell. They're going to go back and forth for 60 seconds. We have a farmers and a duck walk. So they're going to run the farmers, and then the duck walk will be waiting, and they're going to waddle their way down with the duck walk. And then the best parts of the show, we're going to have a truck pull. It's going to be harnessed. We're going to have a rope to pull. We're going to have a car deadlift, and it's actually going to be a car. We're going to test out cars.
We don't know what car yet.
Yeah, we haven't tested cars yet. We've got till November. We've got time. We're going to test out some different cars, and I'll have multiple women test it. So
we don't know what truck yet either.
No, we don't. We have our pick from next door, though.
Yeah.
And then I'm super biased in this front, so I told Ryan we absolutely had to add in a max stone
Because fuck it.
we need a max stone. It's fun, and you don't always get to do something like that. It's usually always in a medley or over a bar for reps. So I want some women to be able to test it out.
That's also, like, to me, that is the strongman event.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have the events that I think to me have to be in a strongman event, but a max stone is like.
That's what you think of when you think of it.
That's strongman.
Yeah.
See, I'm good with I like a good heavy medley, but yeah, sometimes you just need a max stone. Like, how heavy of a stone can you pick up?
And
it's great.
And I think, like you said, like some of these shows are a lot lighter, and it gets into a point of like, and strongman it's not just strength. It's also, like you said, how fast can you move with some of the implements, or do you have enough endurance to be able to go for 60 seconds to do well? And then you need all that, but it's still called strongman, and like lifting a heavy stone is still the coolest thing you're going to do with it. So go out and lift the biggest one you can. Why not? Have fun.
Yeah, I think it's just the most badass feeling thing you can do in strongman. There's just something about it. You tack, you pick up the stone, and you feel like a badass for the day. I don't know how to explain it. It's just awesome.
No, you did. That's probably the most accurate description you can say it as.
Yeah, I mean, at least before I was like here and actually saw people doing strongman, the only event I actually ever saw was the stone medley where two people go head to head and they load the stone onto the platform.
I love head-to-head medleys. They're so fun.
The only person I really actually see do that was Mario Puchanowski, and I'm like, whoa, he's huge.
Yeah.
And, I saw him do an MMA fight once. And I
He
realized
still does.
he's still very
still
huge.
very big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I absolutely agree that stones is strong. And plus, isn't the logo like Atlas, the Titan holding the globe on her shoulders?
Her world's strongest man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Strongman Corp uses that a lot too.
Yeah.
That's actually what my Arnold trophy was the guy who was Atlas with the stone on his back.
It's the most recognizable symbol, I think, in strongman.
I agree, yeah.
His top 3 favorite Greek gods. Go.
Oh God, favorite Greek gods. I'm gonna give you my top, and I'm gonna say Thor, but that's also
Thor.
also partially because I'm
hammer right in front of you?
obsessed with Hathor Bjornsson, and
Congratulations, but Thor's not a Greek god.
he's a god. Shut up.
I know, but I was.
I don't know about Greek gods.
Syed does this in every one.
Does he?
Well, I mean,
That's my
how
one
about-
god I know. What god is he? Is it Roman? What is he?
He's a Norse god.
Norse god. Yeah, he is Norse god.
Look at
That's
your
right. I
shirt.
just read.
She's wearing.
No, and the worst part
Norse
is, I just read a book on Norse mythology where obviously Thor was all over there. It was called Norse mythology, and I read it, and I'm just.
Well, how about this?
I'm gonna shame right now.
How about
it's okay.
top 3 strength athletes? Because we can say strongman, whatever. Is your top 3 strength athletes?
Top 3
Would
strength
that inspire
athletes.
you in your specific sport?
So Thor has always been in my top just because he's so awesome at stones. I think it's.
not the god.
No.
No, sorry, half Thor Bjornsson. Sorry, I thought So he's always just been one of my favorites just because I'm a little biased. I love Game of Thrones, and he's on Game of Thrones. But he's just so, I think he's pretty well-rounded. He's so consistent, and he's amazing at Atlas stones.
Yep.
And again, that's kind of just, I aspire to be at that level for my Atlas stones. Somebody else I've absolutely always looked up to in my sport is Kristen Rhodes. She's a heavyweight open competitor, and she's been in the sport for minimum 10 years at this point, probably longer. And she's been consistently sitting at the top. She got bested at Worlds the last couple of years, but she's always, for so long, she's been at the top, and she's just dedicated, she's passionate. So I just love watching and following her. And then another heavyweight open female competitor. I'm going to stick more to the females because that's kind of
Makes sense.
who I look to for the most part. Donna Moore. So she's the one who's been kind of dominating the heavyweights lately. And again, another person, she's just so consistent. She's well-rounded. She's positive. So she's just great to be around in competition. She's just got a good vibe, and she's helpful. And I love watching her compete and destroy it. It's inspiring, and as a lightweight, I just hope I can lift half as heavy as her one day.
I don't know if we've ever asked this question ever on the podcast.
I'm nervous. That's the one.
I mean, it's not,
I'm a little nervous too. Should I be?
Right? I mean, I was like, I've never asked if anyone, because we mentioned a lot that this is a hobby for a lot of people. If they had other hobbies outside of that, because usually people are like, they go to work, they go home, they go to the gym, and that's pretty much it. I was like, do you have any other hobbies? And I don't know if I know your guys. Yours is music, I think.
And knitting.
And knitting for this guy.
You knit.
You're really cool if I just kept that secret from the gym forever. I'm like,
No, that's out now.
knitting.
That is out. I know this
yeah.
now. Outside of most of the time I spend at the gym, it's usually just hanging at home with my dogs and also reading. So I'm an English teacher, so I'm a big reader. I love to just sit outside with a nice good book, whether paperback or on my Kindle, whichever. But I think reading would be where any other extra time, relaxing time at least. Not that the gym's necessarily relaxing, but it's like my outlet. That would be my other outlet. My escape from the world would be a book.
Right, that's weird. I don't know about yours.
Before kids, movies, now watching PJ Masks with my dog.
Oh, that's nice. How about you, Buck?
Can we come back to this knitting thing though? What do we knit?
It's like, just like sweaters.
You knit full out
Very,
sweaters.
very small sweaters.
It is like June.
Can you knit my dog some sweaters?
Yeah.
Some puppy sweaters.
Yeah. I'll knit the fuck out of a sweater for your dog. Yeah.
All right.
Do you like knitting too?
No, it's been 40 minutes. So.
Is it really?
Okay,
Yeah.
it's getting ended.
Well, how about we end this? Where can people sign up for the shows?
We should go. All right, hold on.
It's on the United States Strongman page. If you go to upcoming events, is the Nava show up yet?
I don't know. UnitedStatesStrongman.com is the info's there, and then on the Gleasonperformance training Facebook page, there's 2 events up. The events are up there, and there's a link to the sign-ups on there too.
Yeah. In the women's show, we have all the weight charts and everything on there, so you can look at your weight classes and weights up there on the Facebook page as well.
Cool.
I like the paint.
Thank you so much for listening. To send in questions, DM me on Instagram at Syed_likes_stuff. Follow the gym on Instagram at Team GPT. For more information about the gym, visit Gleasonperformance.com and join the team. For online coaching, go to teamgpt.com.